Hello dear reader, and welcome to the Dance of Shadows and Light, Chapter 1, Destiny. I couldn't see him, but I felt him. He was everywhere. He was tangible, real. He was the only reality I knew. His features blurred before my eyes. His matte, bronze skin, rough to the touch from old scars, and my fingers gratefully began studying them.
Join our community, read romance novels, and influence the story with the authors. Scan the QR code or follow the link in the description.
I wanted to count them. I wanted to heal them, but couldn't. My magic probably wouldn't have been enough. It was forbidden. There were rules that forbade an unmarried girl to be alone with a man who did not belong to her family. But I knew that despite the rules, despite all the prohibitions, his presence was the only right path, because everything else didn't matter. His fingers touched my knee, slipping under my nightgown, and impatiently began to rise up. Along the inside of my thigh, outlining intricate patterns, his callous palms explored me. Waves of tremors ran through my body, the heat spreading from his every touch settled at the bottom of my stomach. Such feelings were unknown to me before. No one had ever dared to touch me like that, but not him. He came to me rarely, but every time I waited for him more and more eagerly. Every time I tried to make out the features of his face, to see and understand, but everything floated before my eyes. His palms stopped at my hips, squeezing them and pulling them towards him so that our bodies formed a perfect puzzle piece. And I knew that when our lips touched, it would also feel like another piece of the puzzle finally solved. The rough fabric of his pants scratched the tender skin of my thighs, but his body radiated so much heat that it didn't care. I wanted to be closer, to press harder, but I didn't allow myself to move. "I've been waiting for you for so long," he whispered, his lips touching the lobe of my ear. His whisper sent another wave of shivers down my spine. "My patience is wearing thin, girl." Mine too. I wanted to scream when his lips descended on my neck. At first kisses, but then they turned into bites. I felt the touch of his fangs on my skin. Pleasure on the brink of pain. Throwing my neck back, I gave him greater access, and it seemed to please him. A grim laugh, full of promise and barely restrained passion, drowned in my skin, returning to kisses. My pulse beat under his lips. And it was a strange but very accurate metaphor. My life was in his hands. I belonged to him. That's the impression he gave me. Not because I chose it or wanted it, although damn it, I really did want it. I belonged to him because he owned everything. Power was his second nature. I raised my hands, suddenly heavy with desire, wanting to touch his face, to try and understand what he was like. What were his features, smeared by my treacherous eyes? What were his eyes like? What did they reflect? But before I could cup his face in my hands, his fingers closed around my wrists. The warmth of his hands left my hips, and cool air slid over the bare skin under my nightgown. "Not so fast, girl," he whispered mockingly. He lowered my hands, caressing my skin with his fingers, and leaned towards me. Although I expected him to kiss me, but he didn't. He pressed his forehead against mine. "You must find me, Emilia," he said. It didn't sound like a request. No, it was an order, because his nature was to give orders and receive submission. He executed power, strength, and magic. He was stronger than any other fairy I knew. Maybe he wasn't even a fairy. A sorcerer, a pure-blooded elf, a wizard, a druid, a wanderer. I tried to free my hands to reach for him again, but it was in vain. "But how will I find you? Who are you?" I asked. On the brink of despair, he stepped back and seemed to look at me. Why couldn't I see his face? Why couldn't he tell me his name? "You'll understand when the time comes," he said. I felt his grip on my wrists weaken. The touch of our bodies in the most intimate places became less palpable. "No," I whispered, trying to hold on to him, although it was a futile attempt. He always disappeared, always vanished with the coming of dawn. "I'm waiting for you, Emilia," he said finally. "I've been waiting for you for centuries." And then he was gone. Dear reader, congratulations on completing the first chapter. Now I invite you to solve my riddle to move forward. What will happen to Emilia in the next chapter? 1. She will find out who came to her dream. 2. Emilia will meet her fiancé. 3. Emilia will leave her home.
Join Community and Effect the plot through Novelclub app. Scan QR code or follow the link in the description.